I think Season 2 of Fallout TV might end up the same as with Season 1, in the sense that on its own it's actually a very good show, but if you're someone who knows a lot about Fallout, it could drive you insane. Not saying it will, since many knowledgeable people, myself included, are still enjoying it. But especially if you nitpick and maybe analyze a bit too much, you might not have such a good time. Last week we left off with the revelation that the New Vegas Strip is now irradiated and overrun with deathclaws. Some speculate that the radiation is coming from the Lucky 38.
Software glitches set off a cascade of system crashes. I had to take the Lucky 38's reactor offline, lest it melt down.
The deathclaws? While it is unusual that they can't or refuse to go past this barricade, the radiation remains an issue because whether the Lucky 38's reactors melted down or not, it and seemingly the rest of the strip is still being powered. So is the electricity being generated from Hoover Dam or Helios 1? Whichever it is, who is currently maintaining it? No one ever mentions them, and there doesn't seem to be any organized force left that's capable of keeping either one up and running. Regardless, our heroes end up in Freeside making their escape, and it looks pretty good. They filled in some of the parts that went unused in the game, but you got the atomic Wrangler, and later on you can see the Silver Rush. Who's occupying them does come into question though, as you'll see. But you can see the destroyed overpass in the back, so that's a detail. We also see the King's School of Impersonation, but we don't see any members. So it's still up in the air whether or not they're all gone. As you know, the Kings used to offer bodyguard services for people traveling through Freeside. But with such an expanded community, Freeside actually seems safer now.
General store over there called Sonny's, after something called a dick doll.
Hey, maybe they'll have something to take down one of those lizards.
Nah, for that you're gonna want to go to Mick and Ralph's, and you're gonna want to get into Mick's special inventory. Or you'll need to deal with the Gunrunner's vendor bot just outside of town, but we don't know if either of these still exist. Either way, at this point, I was surprised the ghoul didn't send Lucy to Mick and Ralph's. It's some easy fan service. But later on we find out that the writers wanted to use this side quest as a means of having Lucy kill a man and show that she's changing. Also take note that Cooper tells her to go buy some Addictol and not fix her. So Cooper walks into the Atomic Wrangler and is served by a man credited as Shotgun Jeff, and not by James or Francine Garrett. Maybe Jeff is the guy they hired so they could take a day off every once in a while. Or maybe in the past 15 years they also died. But I've noticed that throughout this show I've been saying maybe this or maybe that quite a bit, and I'm not going to stop.
Guess you saw them Deathclaw things come up from Quarry Junction.
Okay, so in canon now, the courier never cleared out Quarry Junction, but I'm starting to get the sense that the show's writers are trying to use a clean canvas of sorts. They don't want to canonize any of New Vegas's endings, and they're taking that approach with everything else. Practically speaking, the player characters never existed, thus never had any influence on the setting, thus less things the writers need to worry about. That's what I'm currently thinking.
Where I come from, which is America, the house always wins.
He said it! He said it!
Here we see that Vault 21 is now right next to the Lucky 38, and it's already a hotel. In video game lore, it was a regular vault, with the experiment that every dispute needs to be settled through gambling. After it opened and House took control of the strip, he allowed it to be converted into a hotel, but sealed off the lower sections with concrete. There's no way around this one, it's a retcon. For what purpose? Juicehead speculates that it has something to do with the underground vault tech facility that Hank is using. I guess we'll see. If House knew of the underground facility and wanted it gone and buried, then that means that there's more than one entrance, and Hank was not trying to contact House in episode 1. The speculation is that he was trying to contact someone from the Enclave. We see the Enclave experimenting with mind control devices on dogs in season 1. But then what was House doing with it? Well, in the first episode he says he's doing market research, and in this episode he says that he acquires technology developed by others. This implies that he was researching if this control chip he got from whoever actually worked.
I'm gonna get a couple of drinks. Nicotini?
He said Nuka-Tini. Is that the first time Nuka-Cola has been referenced in this show? I can't remember.
Mr. House would like to see you.
We get confirmation that Rafi Silver is indeed playing a Howard Hughes body double type for Robert House. Now when these doors were opening, for a split second I thought we were going to see Jane, since we already saw Victor. So we might as well diversify. But no, it's Victor again. I guess by now House hasn't brain scanned the real Jane yet. For now, the story shifts to the degenerate chicken lover from season 1, on his way to Vegas himself. Once there, he heads straight to an old friend of ours, the one and only Fisto.
Fisto reporting for duty. Please assume the position.
See what you can fit in there. I can take it.
Now he has the fusion core connected to something, but I don't know what that is. It doesn't seem to be connected to Fisto. Maybe it's to power the lights at the local Taco El Burrito stands, but I just don't know. Regardless, Hank shows up out of nowhere, cracks him in the head with a crowbar, abducts him, implants him with the microcontrol chip, and succeeds. By the way, there's a Hoover Dam billboard there, so it's kind of a mention.
Had her help a fella from the Enclave get through the shithole to some folks from the NCR who weren't in town when Shady Sands blew up.
So the NCR, for whatever reason, even during the Mojave campaign, and even with all their other states, had the vast bulk of their military and government in Shady Sands when Hank nuked it. They didn't have a substantial presence in the Hub, Vault City, Arroyo, Adatum, Junktown, or maybe Redding. They had almost everything in Shady Sands, all at once.
Pretty slim odds. What with it being con country?
What?
I'm with Norm. I'm not sure what that means either. Con country? The great cons? Man, they really got their shit together after New Vegas.
This week, I'm acquiring cold fusion from Vault-Tec. It will allow me to stay alive indefinitely in roboticized non-biological form.
So House needed cold fusion to transfer his consciousness into a droid, a feat that required more energy than a hydroelectric dam could produce, or otherwise supply him specifically. It would also make him and Vegas energy independent. Instead, after the bombs fell, he was fighting with his nuclear reactor and needed Hoover Dam. Meanwhile, he'd been running his mathematical projections to determine the date the bombs fell.
But the date the data coalesced might. April 14th, 2065 at 5:17 a.m.
By 2065, I deemed it a mathematical certainty that an atomic war would devastate the Earth within 15 years. Every projection I ran confirmed it.
April 14, 2065 is Cooper's daughter's birthday. The moment that kid popped out of her mom, House's computer went ding and told him that shit was gonna go down. But the show seems to be portraying his prediction as being much more accurate.
The moment that you bought your ticket to Las Vegas, the date the world was going to end jumped forward by 1 month.
Not within the time frame of within 15 years, but down to the exact date. But obviously it can't be that he has the exact date. Maybe just the year and month.
I thought I had plenty of time to prepare. As it turned out, I was 20 hours short.
As an aside, Fallout News on Twitter printed out that Margot, the computer you interact with during the Fallout 3 DLC Broken Steel, was installed and activated on April 14th, 2065 at 5:20 a.m., 3 minutes after Janie Howard blasted out of her mom. Coincidence? Probably. But hey, you never know.
The bombs will not be dropped by me or any of the idiots at that meeting.
Okay, so good. Now we can put to bed the whole idea of Vault-Tec dropping the bombs and go back to our regularly scheduled ambiguity. I think Tim Kane's original idea was that the Chinese launched first once they found out about the FEV. Speaking of which, Norm was just about to find out about it, and the corporate bootlicker came in and garroted him. But I think he's still alive. By the way, does anyone else feel like the amount of people who knew about and had access to FEV is starting to rack up?
I believe there is another player at the table.
Currently, the discussion online seems to be that this other player is the Enclave, or the parts of the military and whatnot that created the Deathclaw and would ultimately become the entity known as the Enclave. We know the ones from the oil rig are gone, the ones that made it to the Capital Wasteland also pretty much gone. The show tells us about a compound, and Eddie's recordings from Dr. Whitley tells us about a base in Chicago. Since the show's base had snow around it, maybe that's the Chicago base. And it is definitely the last source of Enclave in the Fallout universe. I highly doubt that though. For all we know, they're on the moon. Or if a certain New Vegas mod is to be believed, on an extremely drawn out space station.
Then they shaved my head and fixed me with a rubber diaper. And get to it.
As you can see, this is the same headgear House is wearing inside his life support pod. I guess it's safe to say that this is what he uses to communicate with his computers.
What if you're just a fucking lunatic? I'm a lunatic?
Cooper insults him and House goes ballistic. There's been some discussion around this. Some people are saying it's not in character with House from the game, and some are saying it's perfectly in character. The argument for the latter is that if you refuse to give him the platinum chip that he designed and that he's been searching for the past 2 centuries, he flies off into anger. Therefore, insulting him should also elicit the same emotional response. Does that sound reasonable to you? I'm very interested to hear your answer. Please tell me in the comments.
While your wife is making apocalyptic proposals at board meetings.
He says that in his tirade, but the argument can be made, does he really care? He was probably just trying to get to Cooper, because we all know.
I prefer the term autocrat. I would rule as a chief executive. I would not answer to a board of directors or any other entity. Nothing to impede progress.
So you can argue that if the bombs do fall and he can predict when, then he can prepare and set himself up to become the autocrat he envisions. He was only 20 hours short after all. All he needed was to get that chip on time and everything would have been different.
Lucy, I brought you here to bargain with. This is us to bargain.
So yeah, Cooper betrays Lucy, something we all saw coming of course, as the audience.
Don't look at me like that. I don't like her either. But we gonna meet her down the line.
Cooper shoots her with a tranquilizer. Lucy still has a dictol in her and thus musters enough strength to power fist Cooper out the window and gets impaled, but we already know he survives. Like I said at the beginning, this is pretty good television, but lore-wise, this episode was a bit more of a doozy. My guess is things are really gonna start to pick up from here. They got 3 episodes left, and they still got Maximus to worry about. See you next week.